All right, Nosike Wajide, one of the research analysts with Financial Derivatives Company, is here with me in the studio. Thank you very much, Nosike. Well, yesterday, of course, we saw that the price of petrol has gone up again. Really, what necessitated this hike now?
According to the PPPRA, it said market fundamentals and operating costs of the oil marketers in the month of June. So I were to assume that by market fundamentals, they meant the rise in the price of oil. At the end of the average price for oil in May was about $32 a barrel. The average price for June was $40 a barrel. So if you had that $8 differential, it comes about 26% increase. So the rise from 123 naira per liter to about 143 comes to about 18%. So it's a new reality. We've been told by the federal government that they've taken away the fuel subsidy. So we expect that in coming months, as the oil prices rise like we want it to, the federal government would prefer that we have higher oil prices, that Nigerians will be faced with higher prices for petrol. Before the impact of COVID-19 hit early on the year, the average price in the West African sub-region, or amongst our neighboring countries we share borders with, were about 320. So and at the time you're selling petrol for 145. So you have like 100% differential. And that is an incentive to smuggle, whether you like it or not. So in time, even now, obviously it's not 320 anymore because of the fall in the price of oil. It should be maybe 2 something, but you still have that differential.
But this obviously would have implications for inflation numbers?
Yes, especially food inflation. Food inflation accounts for 51% of the inflation basket. Transportation costs is the first thing that would be impacted. Even now, transportation costs are higher because of buses having to observe social distancing. So they will charge more because they carry less passengers. So, adding increased costs for fuel, you have increased food prices in the coming months. Food inflation is about 15% as it is. It's been trending upwards since even the start of the year. You have the exchange rate pressures on imported food as well. So we expect food prices to rise in the coming months. Yeah.
Now, an impressive data there from FBN Quest, PMI, up 24.5% to about 53.9 points. How do you see the domestic commodities markets reacting to this PMI number?
That number, the 24% surge, is driven by the fact that, in May, it was almost not zero activity, but very little activity. In June, we had a partial easing of lockdowns, and there was increased demand. Although consumer confidence is a bit low, given that some people have lost their jobs. But as we ease, the restrictions are phased out even further, the interstate movement it's now allowed. So we increase access to raw materials from neighboring states and all that. So you have increased production. Demand should increase. As more and more people, come out to interact and there's increased economic activity. So if you have increased production, that should put some pressure, or to take some pressure off some commodity prices, where you have increased demand as well. And for instance, some commodities this is harvest season for some commodities, but we notice that some prices are higher than they ordinarily would be, 10-20% higher. But with increased movement and increased access to raw materials from companies that buy up these commodities, we should see some prices, taper down in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and what is this thing about people scrambling for ginger, garlic, and of course some local herbs? Very soon, perhaps these commodities might probably be out of stock in the market. For it to make one of the top economic issues on your slide.
Basically, food crops like ginger, garlic, even lemons. Then local parlance, abo. It's used. Abo is supposedly used to cure a lot of things. The ginger and garlic, for instance, the price of garlic has risen by about 20%. Ordinarily, this would be the harvest period, but because people assume, or it's being considered a prophylactic for COVID-19, it's used in, flu medicine, so to speak. Lemons, hot water lemons, garlic and ginger, mix it with abo. So it's in high demand at this point. So people would, there's no proof that it works, but a lot of people assume that it does. So there's increased demand for these items, and the prices will remain elevated in the coming weeks.
All right, we are in the second half of the year. What is the outlook for the commodities market?
It would depend crucially on how the interstate lockdown has been taken away. So if we continue social distancing, then we will have higher transport costs. Now we have higher transports, higher fuel prices. That would obviously increase transport costs. But if we continue social distancing, that would increase transport costs even further, and that would impact the price of commodities. But we don't know how long the COVID-19 crisis will last for and how long these measures will be in place. But the price of commodities will depend crucially on how long these measures will be in place. And we hopefully by the end of Q3, we should see the number of cases would have peaked and the number of cases subsiding, then those measures will be taken off and we'll see commodity prices fall.
All right, thank you very much, Nosike, for your time. Nosike Nwajide is one of the research analysts with Financial Derivatives Company. We'll take a quick break now, and when we come back, we'll look at Visa's Where You Shop Matters initiative. Just stay with us.